Hello everyone, welcome back to the Traxion YouTube channel. Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park for this iRacing Touring Car Challenge track guide. Now, Barber Motorsports Park and the touring car, I'd like to say it's a match made in heaven, but it's a bit of a nightmare. There's lots and lots of trail braking, lots and lots of places where we need to get on the gas and we can't because the car just wants to wheel spin. But more about that as we get into the track guide. Now, if you followed my track guides before, you'll know that they are not a place for hot laps. It's a slow, methodical approach where we learn the circuit, talk about my braking markers, my reference points, and the little quirks that each circuit has. So as usual, I will show you a flying lap in full. Then we'll jump in the car, do a few laps, and show you those braking markers and reference points in action. Then at the end, we'll talk about pit entry, pit exit, and where I think you might be able to overtake this week at Barber Motorsports Park. So enough talking, let's get on track. So here we are on the main start-finish straight here at Barber Motorsports Park. So as usual, we've set the sim time to match the official series. So it's the 4th of June 2022 and the time in the sim is 3 PM. We're also using the iRacing sprint setup, which is what is used in the official series. Track temperature right now, as you can see on screen, 45 degrees, the same as it was in the flying lap that you've just seen. Brake bias this week, we've gone for 44.2%. I have tried lower and it does stop a lot quicker. However, it's a lot more unstable when you're turning in, and there's lots and lots of trail braking here at Barber. So, turn number 1, we're going to be approaching it on the right hand side. Now, this is a blind turn in for turn number 1. We're going to be 5th gear as we approach turn number 1 on the right hand side of the circuit, and we're going to be braking in between the 2 and the 1, and we're going to be starting to turn in and shift down to 4th, and we're going to be trail braking all the way to the apex. When you get to the apex, you can accelerate in 4th gear, and then we don't want to be going too wide here. We want to kind of keep on this little line of bitumen that's on the road surface there. So we just follow that line up there, and then there's 2 very faint tyre marks just above our instrument cluster there. They kind of come to a cross. That's what I use as my reference point to start braking for turn number 2, and I generally apex this one quite early. 3rd gear, you can go down a 2nd, but you can just leave it in 3rd if you wish, and trail brake, and then get on the gas because we want a really late apex, turn number 3, and then we can accelerate all the way up the hill. Turn in towards the curb, keep turning right though, because we want the car over to the right hand side for turn number 5. Now this is a really tricky turn. You can get really hard on the brakes going into turn number 5, but you've got to be really smooth off. Now, I find that with the brake bias that we've got, we don't really need to brake any more than 50, 60%, something like that, and hold the brake all the way to the apex. And we're using the number 2 board as our marker there. So we're braking at the 2 board, and we're going to be braking all the way to the apex, and we're going to have a nice tight line around. You can try and swing it round, but when you accelerate on exit, the car will just understeer and you'll be going off track. So we need to be really patient around here. First gear, and then accelerate, short shift to second, and a nice tight line all the way through turn number 6, all the way up to the tricky little 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to be 5th gear, and we're going to be braking just before the 1, and it's only minimal braking, but we're going to hold that brake pretty much all the way through turn number 8. We're going to be missing this curb if we can, but we're going to be going right across here, and stay on the brakes because the car will kind of lift up as you go off that curb. You will lose a little bit of traction, and you do need to get it stopped for turn number 9, and we need a nice tight line around turn number 9. So down to 2nd gear and hold the brakes, and then if you're at this point you can get on the gas. The car will push out wide, then we need to get it back over to the right hand side for turn numbers 10 and 11. You don't need to be right over there, kind of middle of the circuit, but we're going to be turning in, and we're going to be right across this curb here. We're going to be going right across here, and then we're going to be missing this curb if we can. If we hit it, it's not too bad. You might need to lift in the early stages of the race just on exit so we don't run on this grass. Then move the car over to the right hand side for turn number 12. Now this is a really tricky turn. This is one of the places where you need to be really patient. So we're going to be braking just before the 1, and we're going to be turning in at the same time. And again, similar story, minimal braking. All we're doing is taking a little bit of speed out of the car, and we're going to be letting it course pretty much all the way around here. 4th gear, we're going to be get on this curb, and then at this point at the end of the curb, then we can get on the accelerator. The car will push out wide, and we're going to turn in, and then we're going to lift partially just to get a bit of weight over the front tyres, and then we're going to be braking down here for turn number 15, and this seems to take forever for the car to come back to you, but we need the car over to the right hand side to open up turn number 16. I'll explain that little sector in a bit more detail next time by. So 3rd gear, and then accelerate out. Right, so turn number 1, we're going to move to 5th gear. We're going to be braking in between the 2 and the 1, and we're going to be braking, hold the brake to the apex, then accelerate, and then look for those tyre marks. There they are. 3rd gear, then apex this one really late, get on the gas, let the car push all the way out wide, aim for that inside curb and don't touch it if you can help it. And braking at the 2, 50-60%. We're just going to be holding that brake all the way to the apex, down to 1st gear, nice and tight. Then accelerate, short shift to 2nd. Then accelerate up through turn 6, nice tight line on the left. And then we're going to be braking in between the 2 and the 1, just before the 1 really. Then hold the brake all the way through, down to 3rd, down to 2nd, nice tight line, then get on the gas. Here, we need to be middle of the circuit. Well, on this bitumen line here, that will do fine. Then we're going to cut this curb on the left, then up to 5th, and then all the way around. We just make it, the tyres are cold. So between the 2 and the 1, we're going to be braking and turning at the same time. And then we're just going to be coursing around here till we get to the end of the curb, then accelerate. So the car will push out wide, and then we're going to be off the throttle here. But this is what I wanted to show you last lap. On the right hand side, you can see those barriers there where they don't join. There's a definite gap. Well, that's going to be our braking marker for turn number 15. And we're going to be on the brakes there. Probably only 20%, 20-30%, not a lot. It's just to get the car to slow down. We don't need to be right over here because that will just lose us loads of time. It's not like we need to get a really good exit out of turn number 15. So a nice tight line all the way around. And I'll try not to go on the curbs at the beginning here at Barber. You can go on the curbs kind of halfway around. So if I show you an example here going around turn number 15, don't go at the curb at the beginning, but here is fine. That's fine. It's a lot more gradual, the lip. Right, we'll pick up the pace. Hopefully it all makes sense. So we're going to be 5th gear. Between the 2 and the 1, we're going to be braking down to 4th gear, trail braking to the apex, get on the gas at the apex, looking for those tyre marks. There they are. I always go down to 2nd, then up to 3rd, then power all the way through. Miss the curb on the right, keep the car over to the right hand side though, up to 5th gear. Braking at the 2, we're going to be holding the brakes all the way to the apex. We want to be nice and smooth on exit. 1st gear, then short shift to 2nd. Move the car over to the left as we go around turn number 6. Make the circuit as short as you can. We're braking again between the 2 and the 1. We're going to be holding the brakes all the way around here. Nice and gentle. And then apply a bit more brake just as we go down the hill. Nice tight line. If you get a nice tight line, you can get on the gas really early. So on this bitumen line here, so we're going to be flat out over the curb. Then up to 5th. And we're going to be turning. Just get round. Then just before the 1 or just after the 2, well in between the 2, we're going to be braking, turning. That's better. And then we're going to be waiting to the end of the curb, then accelerate through. Then here we're just going to lift a little bit just to get a bit of weight on the front tyres. And then those 2 barriers there where they should meet, we're going to be braking. It seems to take forever. Then get on the curb when you're halfway around the turn. Don't go on the curbs at the start of the curb, if that makes sense. And we'll do one more lap. Just after the 2, we're going to be braking. Accelerate at the apex, looking for those tyre marks. There they are. So we'll leave it in 3rd gear this time. Doesn't really matter. Then accelerate through the turn. I just find we get a little bit more punch when we increase the revs a little bit in 2nd gear before we go to 3rd. The 2 marker, we're going to be braking, holding the brakes all the way to the apex. Nice and tight, nice and smooth. Short shift to 2nd. Stop the wheel spin. In between the 2 and the 1, we're going to be braking, we're going to be holding the brakes all the way around here. Get a bit of weight on the front tyres, then applying a bit more pressure as we go down the hill. Nice and tight, then accelerate through. Right across this curb on the left, up to 5th. And in between the 2 and the 1, we're going to be braking and turning. Nice and gentle, not much brake at all. Let the car coast through here. There is a temptation to just get on the gas there, but you can't. And then braking where these barriers should meet. Not much, just a little bit of brake. Get the car back on the curb if you need to. Same here. Staying off the curbs is the better option. Right, what lap times have we got? So there we go. So 131.563. An optimal of a 131.419. That's going to be where you need to be. Probably going to be a bit quicker. There's still little bit of time left in the track. But a mid 31s shouldn't be too bad this week. Right, let's have a look at pit entry, pit exit. So pit entry here at Barber is actually quite tricky. There's a horrible right and an even worse left turn as we go down pit lane. So you'll find pit lane just after turn number 15. So you can see the barrier there where we'd be braking and normally going round to the right. Well, for pit entry, we're going to be going straight ahead. So you'll be able to see it just as we go over this short crest. There it is. And here's the right turn. So you just need to be careful on here because there's grass on the side. Be very careful. But then this turn is a bit of a nightmare here. You can push down here a little bit too hard. It's actually pretty tight. And the yellow cone is just around the corner. To get the pit limiter on, 72 kilometers an hour, which isn't too bad. But pit exit, on the other hand, is an absolute dream. You can be flat out as soon as you get to the green cone, so release the pit limiter, and it naturally puts you on a really nice line for turns 2 and 3. You just need to keep an eye on your relative at this point, so accelerate through, flat out. Then here, we're on a nice wide line for turns 2 and 3. So if somebody's coming around to lap you, just let them go and try and tuck in behind them and get their draft all the way down the straight to the tight turn 5. So pit entry, not really a fan of it, but pit exit, no problem. So overtaking then. So from experience, it's quite difficult to overtake at Barber. You're always reliant on people making mistakes, but in the touring car, well, there's going to be mistakes aplenty. People are going to overdrive, and if you remain disciplined, that's where you're going to get your positions. So as usual, we're going to do a lap and we're going to assume that people are going to defend, and we're going to talk about what we can do to combat that defensive driving. So turn number 1, well, people are going to defend. It's after the long straight, people are going to take the inside line. What we're going to do, we're going to sit behind them all the way down, get their slipstream, and then we're going to move out alongside them, make it too wide. Now, we're not going to overtake them around turn number 1. But the idea here is to hold the outside line around turn number 1 and overtake them around turns 2 and 3. There's no way anybody's going to hold an outside line around 2 and 3. So we're going to have to just brake a little bit later to give them room. And if we can then hold this position here, well, that's the overtake done around 2 and 3. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, out of here, well, we're not really going to get much done here. Everybody's going to be in a bit of a procession. But again, people are going to defend over here. Now, the only thing that you can do here to try and combat that is by braking a little bit deeper and trying to think about getting a really good exit out of this hairpin here. And maybe getting a bit of slipstream as we go up the hill. And again, they're going to defend. They're going to take this line. But you might be able to hold it around the outside line. I don't know how successful that would be because the inside of this turn is cambered. So it's unlikely that you're going to get anything done there. You can try. Here, again, nobody's going to overtake going into this fast chicane, or they shouldn't. But people are going to push. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to run wide and go on this grass. And you're not going to spin, but you will lose a little bit of speed. So if somebody does that, well, I'm going to take the outside line around turn number 12. And then that puts me in a great position to overtake them around turn 13. Or, if not, around turn 14. So we'll have this line. Well, it's pretty much done here, isn't it? If we can hold the inside line around these 2 turns. We have to brake a little bit sooner because we're taking a tighter line to give them room. But realistically, that would be where I would be doing it. So around the outside of turn number 1, overtaking them around turns 2 and 3. You can maybe have a look going down the outside into turn number 8 and 9. Failing that, then I would be trying to go down the outside, turn number 12, and overtake them around 13, 14, or 15. So there we go. That's Barber Motorsports Park done. Please let me know down below in the comments how you get on. What were your times before the guide and what were your times after? And did I actually help? Just remember, be patient. Don't overdrive the car. Remain disciplined. Stick to your braking markers. And I think you'll do absolutely fine. As always, thanks for watching. Good luck. Keep it pinned.